Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for following and commenting, subscribing. I go through every comment and read your reactions and things of that sort. They really help me to get much better. Now, today I'm going to break down this gentleman known as Kiryowa Kiwanuka. Last time I did a video about him. For those of you who have not watched that video, you can go back somewhere in my catalog. You will find who Kiryowa Kiwanuka and what his role is in the Museveni crime empire. As we speak today, surely Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, the Attorney General of Uganda today, is an errand boy of Museveni's son-in-law, known as Edwin Kalugaba. Like I've always told you that Edwin Kalugaba is the de facto Attorney General of Uganda under Museveni's dictatorship, whereas Kiryowa Kiwanuka is just a useful idiot, as lawyer Semakadde described him in his article in The Observer. Now, okay, I know that even when you're working for a dictator, at least you should, you should reserve some of your mental capacities to operate in a coherent and a reasonable manner while you are replying to some of the statements that you're making. Because as you make those statements, people will come out and, dig you up and break you down in one way or the other. Now, there is this saga that has been going on. One of the, in Uganda we have a hierarchy, or at least a league of so-called corrupt officials in Uganda. Now, of course, Museveni is up there, and Museveni and Sam Kutesa, whereas Sam Kutesa is not the president, but those two, in terms of corruption, for them, they have never known that it is a crime. Then we have people like Jim Muhwezi. These are people who even, like you have the Messis, and then you have the Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, this gentleman known as Jim Muhwezi, who is also related to Museveni, whereby the wife called Susan Muhwezi is related to Janet, Museveni's wife. Now, Jim has been in a lot of scandals in the country. And he was in Gavi funds, vaccine, he was in AIDS money. He has taken so much money from the country. Now, no sooner had he been appointed as the Minister for Security in Uganda than he went out there and got a shadow company and started to steal. Literally, he wanted to steal. It was itching his backside. His backside was really itching. And he's like, oh my God, I need to find something. Because it is in his nature. And I don't blame Jim Muhwezi to some extent. If he can go to his family meetings and family so-called within his family, right? Like when you have family wealth and that kind of stuff, if he goes and corrupts those ones, no one will mind. But here you are dealing with a public office. Now, if it is inherent in you, like if it is something that is within you that you're corrupt, don't bring those things to us, because we shall not accept any of that foolery. Now, Jim Muhwezi brought a Russian company he awarded them a contract. He oversaw the signing of a contract by a Russian company to to supply number plates that are digital. Some of you, I think you have heard about that issue. I'm going to make an episode about that issue and Jim Muhwezi as an individual and all his scandals. But just to give you a highlight on this particular topic that I'm going to speak about. Now, Jim Muhwezi goes out there, they get this shadowy company, and then this shadowy company is given a contract to supply number plates that are digital and that can be tracked by the government, literally to surveil its people. Now, all of a sudden, newspapers in Uganda, the Daily Monitor, the Observer, URN, they published a story saying that the company that was given the contract has a lot of financial litigations, and it is actually under receivership to some extent, that it has so many court cases that it has lost, to the extent that it's about to file for bankruptcy. Not about, actually, the case for its bankruptcy is still in court. Now, that's the company that was given the contract. It has only 10 workers, and they wanted to supply over 2.5 million number plates, which are digital. Literally, it cannot happen. Now, people were waiting for the word of the Attorney General. What does the Attorney General have to say about the matter? Because we all was like, we were all like, okay, fine. Because Jim Muhwezi is someone that we expect. Actually, if at all he did not do that in his first few months. For him not to be involved in any scandal, we would be surprised. He would have performed very good, better. But this is expected of him. 3 months, not even a month, less than a month before he is a minister, and he is already entangled into a scandal. That is expected of him. So well done, Mr. Jim Muhwezi. You're keeping up appearances. Now, as we put Muhwezi aside, it brings the so-called errand boy of Edwin Karujire, who is also the son-in-law of Museveni. This errand boy, known as, what's his name? Kiryowa Kiwanuka, the Attorney General of Uganda. Someone whom I broke down last few weeks, and I showed you how these people, how the mafiosos are acting in Museveni's crime family. And through this so-called law firm, k&kadvocates, or Kiryowa Kiwanuka advocates. Like literally, I'm not a lawyer, right? But whenever I saw these guys arguing out a petition of 2021 recently, surely these guys were really so bad at arguing out their points, especially Museveni's son-in-law. Even Kiryowa Kiwanuka himself, when he is speaking, though he shouts a lot, but there isn't enough sense that is coming out of him. You can hear him being very assertive, this, and people complain about him and his ego and feeling that he is above everyone else. Like you can see, I've been watching some videos there, and you can see the arrogance of this gentleman. I don't know if he's also now among those people. I don't know how many cows he owns, or he also holds the Nkoni and starts chasing cows around the place. Because literally, I mean, if you spend so much time around these corrupt guys, you tend to take up some of their habits. And I think now Kiryowa Kiwanuka is really taking up these habits. Now, enough of the semantics. Let's look at the video that the so-called Attorney General of Uganda and his reasoning that he gave, especially to a person like me who didn't go to law school, but I can see that his reasoning is way off. Now, I speak all this with all due respect to the so-called Attorney General. But you listen to his reasoning on why his reasoning justifying surveillance of Ugandans, and also justifying the contract that Chief Corruptor Jim Muhwezi awarded to a bankrupt Russian firm. Let us listen to Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka.
Last week, Security Minister Major General Jim Muhwezi witnessed the signing of a contract between the government and joint stock company Global Security of Russia to install digital tracking systems on all vehicles. However, the decision has raised many questions after media reports indicated that the contracted is facing bankruptcy. Though the lawsuits are still unresolved, the hearing sessions have been postponed several times as Global Security seeks to settle its debts. However, Uganda government maintains that they did sufficient due diligence before awarding the contract to the Russian firm.
You see, bankruptcy is a much more technical thing than just saying that the person is bankrupt. Because my not having money here does not make me a bankrupt. You understand? The fact that a person has 30,000 shillings on his account doesn't make them a bankrupt. And I can assure you that the government of Uganda stands no risk of any loss on this contract whatsoever.
Asked about why the contract was carried out hurriedly, without going through established legal procurement protocols, the Attorney General maintained that everything was above board.
Security is an emergency. At times it's an emergency because we are not going to wait for people to first get killed as we go through these processes that we are dealing with. So in certain instances, you'll get that kind of procurement.
Many have raised concern about whether the registration will not infringe on their right to privacy of many motorists as their data is exposed to a foreign company.
Today, your logbook of your car has a registration. When I look at the number plate of that car, I can't tell who the owner of that car is. Yeah? When I look at the car, I can't tell the number plate of the car. I can tell the number plate of the car, but not the owner. So what does police do when it wants to get the owner of the car? It goes to court, gets an order, then gets URA to print for them the particulars of the what? Of the owner of the car. So there must be good cause for you to get into that detail. So knowing your number plate does not necessarily mean that I am in my car. It doesn't even mean that it is my car. So we've thought about all those, and I would like to assure all Ugandans that everything humanly possible will be done to protect the private information of every Ugandan.
The Russian company joint stock company Global Security was awarded a 10-year contract to install digital monitoring system in all motorcycles and vehicles. Raymond Tamale, NTV. Company joint.
I'd like to.
Okay, now a few things. 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 things. Now, the so-called Attorney General, Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, and his reasoning, I'm really not surprised. Anyway, he's trying to defend the government position. But as we all know that Museveni's government, or the government position, is really kind of undefendable in one way or the other. So that's his advocate firm. But now I'm going to go point per point, and then we break things down. So Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, when asked about the issue of bankruptcy, well, according to him, he says that if you have 30,000, even if you have 30,000 in your bank, you are not bankrupt. Now, he doesn't put that in relation to, to your debts. Like literally, if you asked the Attorney General that, okay, Mr. Attorney General, would you go into business with Fazil if at all he has no money in bank? Would you give Fazil a contract if at all he doesn't have money in bank? Now, let us put it in just simple understanding. Now, later on, giving these guys a contract that is really this big without doing your due diligence. The Daily Monitor reported that this same company, when a team of security experts was sent, so-called security experts was sent in Moscow to research about this company, they found it was a briefcase company. When it was a briefcase company, they informed the Minister of Security that the company was not worth the contract. The Minister of Security insisted that no, we should still purchase from these particular individuals. Meaning that there is something fishy that is going on. Now, this gentleman, Kiryowa Kiwanuka, explaining bankruptcy, because bankruptcy is when someone is not able to pay his loans or whatever, like they cannot pay their bills, they cannot pay their loans, or their company cannot meet their financial obligations. Now, according to just the simple research that we did here and there, just a minute. We found out that this company even had agreed. It agreed and said, yes, it is true that we are actually bankrupt. Like it has almost 6 cases in of all places in Russia that it is facing. And then, you see, this is what shows that these people are even incompetent. We have an Attorney General that is literally incompetent. So Kiryowa Kiwanuka, for him, he says, if you have 30,000 in your bank and you cannot pay your dues, you cannot pay your debts, you cannot pay, it doesn't mean that you're bankrupt, right? But then it is the same company, if you go and read the judgments in Russia, it is the same company that actually accepted that it is bankrupt. So is Kiryowa Kiwanuka representing this global security firm or what? What is he representing here? Is he representing the global security firm or is he representing the people of Uganda? Now, and let me tell you, this is just the beginning of this gentleman and how I'm showing. This guy is a con man, actually. He's a thief. The Attorney General, with all due respect, I think he's a thief. And he's not the thief, but he's just an errand boy of the Museveni crime family that is sending him to use him as a face. Recently, he flouted his hotel mansion on social media, but people were like, fine. But now, asked why the government flouted the PPDA rules. And now, for those of you who don't know, you should understand that the office of the president is the one that reached out to these guys. Now, what we are seeing here is Kiryowa Kiwanuka is protecting Museveni as an individual, as well as Museveni's office, as well as Museveni's crime family, rather than protecting the people of Uganda. Because the Attorney General is a public enemy. Because we are living in a dictatorship, we are living in a government that usurped power, all this is expected. If they had acted in normal, maybe it would have been a surprise. But this is expected, especially for a government that usurped power away from the people on the 21st of January 2021. Now, Anthony General, who is I hear he's trained in law. I hear he knows the law so much. But when you look at most of the cases that these people are partaking in, of course, they are a consequence or as a result of Edwin Karugire, Museveni's son-in-law, because everyone wants access to Museveni. Everyone wants access to this autocrat and this dictator. So what do? They give Karugire contracts. They give him all these sort of things. It's not out of hard work. No, it's not out of hard work. And you should also understand that Karugire is blessed in this dictatorship. You know, when you are in when you are in hell, and then you get blessed to be you see, like, even hell is not equal. There are people who will be at the bottom of the pits of hell, and then there are people who will be like on top, above. Whereas fire burns the same, but those at the bottom in the pit, they will be burnt more than those at the top. Now, what am I trying to explain? That even within dictatorships, there are people who strike a jackpot. I don't know if my metaphor actually qualifies, but what I'm trying to mean is that in Museveni's hell, Edwin Karugire struck a jackpot because he married Natasha, who is Museveni's favorite daughter. Yes, Natasha is Museveni's favorite and is the favorite of Janet as well. So Edwin, that means, is the favorite son-in-law. So he gets everything juicy. Whereas the Audrey Kerabogos are struggling. They are now doing YouTube videos. The Edwin Karugires are having contracts with the Sinok, with the housing finance, with all these other corporate entities that present a facade that these guys are actually making legitimate money. Whereas the Audrey Kerabogos have to struggle a lot, and that thing, like we say in English, S happens, stuff happens. So Edwin Karugire is blessed in that particular way. Now that sort of blessing splattered on people like this gentleman known as Kiryowa Kiwanuka, and that is why he is the Attorney General. So Kiryowa Kiwanuka asked why they flouted the PPDA. His argument, come on guys, because of the people, we did not wait for people to die, and then we were awarded this contract. What a donkey reasoning, especially coming from a lawyer. Is this how lawyers argue? I mean, if this is what lawyers argue, if this is the real representation of lawyers in Uganda, I'm not taking my child to law school. Surely I'm not taking them to law school. Because this is real. And I saw this guy was invited for a symposium to speak to law students of Makerere. I'm worried for the future law students of our country. Because if such people who are the bastions, who are the custodians of the rule of law in Uganda, come out and say, no, I think here we should flout the law, of where there is not even urgency. Because there is no evidence that shows that there is urgency of need of digitalized and so-called number plates that they want to purchase. And he said, no, we are not going to wait for people to die. And then is this what this so-called lawyer, Attorney General Kiryowa Kiwanuka? I think this guy has spent a lot of time doing nothing, and he has forgotten he has forgotten the constitution of Uganda somewhere. Because I believe somewhere it says that, because we are not in a state of emergency, so why would you put out the PPDA rules? So he says, no, the PPDA rules can be flouted at this juncture. So when do we flout them and when do we not flout them? That is the same Attorney General coming out and protecting Jim Muhezi's position. This guy, Kiryowa Kiwanuka. Anyway, the third point and the last point, and then I'll take you to my real breakdown. The gentleman says that he gives a metaphor that, look here, if at all the police sees your number plate, does that mean that your right of privacy is bleached? Because the police has to apply to URA, URA gives them details, and then they find out who the number plate is. Now, for him, he thinks that by putting these digitalized number plates, people's privacy will not be evaded. Number one. Number two, he thinks that by putting these number plates, it's not a must that when these people look at the number plate, it will be able to let the security officers, to let the Museveni regime and crime family know who the owner of that car is. It's not going to happen. What he doesn't tell you is that when they get this the number plate are going to be chipped. And by chipping them, it means that all the information on that particular car is going to be there on that particular number plate, on that particular number, as well as on the chip. Above all, the number plate is going to be able to track you everywhere you go. He doesn't mention that. For him, he mentions things that are visual, because that is where he is limited to knowledge about surveillance. He's limited in knowledge about bagging, espionage. Because as Fazil, if Museveni knows my car, because look here, everyone knows, I know my number plate. Some people know my number plate. So, but those people, if I leave the premises or their houses after visiting them, they cannot know where I'm going. But here, by bringing these digitalized number plates that have chips in them, they will be able to track your movements from Kawempe to Gombe to Kapchora and back. And along the way there, they will be able to do whatever they want to you. There is nothing that is as scary in a state as that sort of surveillance where people can know your movements or can know everywhere you go, or the being in the know of each and everything that you're doing in your daily life. So for him, he thinks privacy is just visual in terms of looking then at the number plate. What sort of igigi is this? If this guy was my client, surely I would just throw him out of the window, because he can't even make a coherent argument to really explain something in a way that is literally understandable. Like you can see when he was being asked, he was like, okay, now a number plate, and then he's talking about 30,000 shillings, and then he's talking about the number plate. Like he's limited in the scope of understanding in terms of surveillance. You get it? And we also know that we have been here before. They brought speed governors, they brought belts, and then we also bought the CCTV cameras. They haven't produced any results. And now we are entering into chipping number plates of borders, as well as these so-called cars. And the most stupid thing above all this entire... if you want to steal, there are so many ways you can steal. But you cannot come out and tell people, okay, guys, we are going to start spying on you using your number plate. So what stops me from taking off the number plate and then going and do what I want and then I come back? And how will you be able to know that my number plate is digitalized or not? Maybe I can make a replica. So there is no effectiveness in this. But anyway, as we break this down, I will not blame the Attorney General. You know why? Because we cannot understand this guy's arguments if we do not look through his family somewhere. And for that matter, one gentleman known as Apollo Senketo. Now, let us get to the real breakdown story. Now, for those of you who remember the Mukono Katosi Road scam that involved a company known as Itao that was contracted to build the road, and then it never built the road. It only constructed 6% of the road, and it was paid around 6 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, the gentleman who was involved in this scam, known as Apollo Senketo, is a brother-in-law to Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, the Attorney General. Now, you can see the relation here that Kiryowa Kiwanuka should be in the know of working or of knowing about these sham companies that don't really measure up. So if at all Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, because according to this website known as Ugandans at Heart, it says Senketo's wife runs out of country fearing to be arrested. It says Senketo is the brother-in-law of Kiryowa Kiwanuka, also known as KK, and after Senketo got problems, Kiwanuka gave them a free house in Gombe on Hoima Road, where they stayed for more than 2 years before he made the cattle seed deal and got the money. After making Mukono cattle seed deal, Apollo bought one bungalow in Kansanga Muyenga, a Kampala suburb, and another in Munyonyo. He also set up a business of selling electronics in downtown Kampala, and before buying 2 Porsche cars, a Nissan Petrol, new model, and a Benz. We have also been informed that after buying all those properties, he went back to the United States where he had some debts and cleared some and bought a new house where his wife and children are staying. So as you can see, now this was written in 2020, whereby this Mr. Attorney General, Kiryowa Kiwanuka's brother-in-law, was ordered to pay the 20 billion. Now that's really interesting. So if at all this company was a sham company, it never existed, it never had a name, it never had a single penny or a dollar to its name, and then it's awarded a contract of over what? Was it like 140 billion, something of that sort? But it was paid literally 24 billion, and then you come out and defend a company that is on the blink of bankruptcy, that is a briefcase company, and you say, no, Ugandans should trust me as the Attorney General, everything is okay, this company is good, and all. How can you defend such a thing? Really? Now, you should also understand that Mr. Apollo Senketo, when he was paid the 24 billion, it was paid into Housing Finance Bank. Now, Housing Finance Bank is one of the clients of Mr. Attorney General's law firm, the k&kadvocates. I don't know if there is anything related there, but I just thought that you should also know that K&K, one of their clients, it is Housing Finance, and then when we go to this, we see that according to the Observer, accordingly, money was paid in Housing Finance Bank, and it is the same account that Senketo managed with 2 Chinese nationals of Lei and Hong, with whom they were co-sued after getting the advance payment. Itao, being a sham company, they then subcontracted a Chinese company, Siko, in July 2014 to tarmac the road. So what we think here is maybe they are doing the same scam, whereby they are getting these so-called guys, the Russians now, and then the Russians will subcontract other people to come and do the job. So Kiryowa Kiwanuka, we know all this is just an errand boy, and he is just here to do things that he is being told by Edwin Karujire. For those of you who don't know Edwin Karujire, he is the de facto Attorney General, and where is he? And he is the son-in-law to Yoweri Museveni, who is also Mr. Karujire married this gentleman. He married Museveni's favorite daughter, and that comes with a lot of, fruits. And among those fruits, it is Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka getting the position of AG, of which, of course, as a result, of course, due to other reasons as well. And also Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka being able to play this role of defending stupid things and all that kind of stuff. Because Edwin Karujire doesn't want to look stupid. He wants to come as a person who is going to clean up the Attorney General's office, or he's likely to become the Minister of Justice. So, as you can see now, that is Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka for you. I'm not surprised, but when I've really dug into this guy, and he's not one of my favorites. I'll be honest, he's not really a good guy. And not so many people like him. That is the truth. Because even the law fraternity also, they disdain him. He's one person they look at and, they're like, nah, Kiryowa Kiwanuka, nah. And that's why you see, like, whenever he's speaking there, his things are very. I don't know even how he wins case. Maybe he wins. I don't know how the legal practice works. I don't know how, though. I don't want to get into his private business, but I don't know how he wins cases, because with such kind of arguing, with such kind of um, with such kind of reasoning, I don't think that this guy really. Maybe he's wise, but really, I don't think. Oh, you should also know that he's related to Amelia Chambade and that kind of stuff. This is really funny. Not funny, but to me, this guy is not my cup of tea. But we shall keep seeing him and exposing him and looking into all his sorts of things. I would like to advise you to go and read Mr. Isaac Semakade's article that he wrote in the Observer on the 21st of July that gives that where he destroys this appointment of this gentleman who has no record at all before becoming before becoming Attorney General. Like, he has no record and reputation to protect. Because where he has been, everyone has been just saying, oh, that's who? KK. Oh, I don't like that guy. The guy is very proud. He thinks that he heads the entire judicial system and all that kind of stuff. As Semakade said in this article, that Museveni is now going to start feeding all the all the courts with cadre judges, and it is the role of this gentleman Kiryowa Kiwanuka, a nobody, an errand boy, who is going to be doing that task. And afterwards, as all useful idiots, he will be kicked out, and he might even end up in prison, because I believe there are so many scandals back there. And I also know that he thinks that he's really good friends with Edwin Karujide, because if that Kike farm is put before the courts of law, when they are looking for someone to fall on the sword, it will not be Edwin. Definitely not. Oh, Museveni's favorite son-in-law? It will be this one, Kiryowa Kiwanuka, who now thinks that he's part of the first family. We always tell people, do the right thing, and history will exonerate you. Even when you see something, you see this is what is, you see like people like that book we read of Mr. Professor Mbonye. He put his work there, and now people know. So, Anthony General, I'm sorry, but your reasoning is not as good, and we are going to keep a really, really tight eye on you, especially on how you reason. Last time I watched Karujide in the election petition where he wanted to make a name for himself. And I heard he has been in several electoral petitions. But he was speaking English. Okay, I don't speak the best of English, but Karujide was speaking English. I couldn't understand what he was saying. Meda the second, I'm not biased, but Meda the second, like, there is a lawyer who can come to face to face you, to face, if there is a lawyer that you hire, and you see this match, like, you go to the court, you see a particular lawyer, and then you see the other lawyer, and you're like, who is the lawyer for those ones? Karujide and Kiwanuka. Those ones. And then this side you have the Segonars, you have all these big guys that are coming out, people who have won cases or who have worked not because of nepotism or tribalism, but legitimate hard work, and who know their stuff. But these ones, by the time they come to argue cases, their cases are already fixed for them. And that's why they are not as good. So, errand boy, Mr. Kiryowa Kiwanuka, just know your place. Yeah, keep doing the errands. That's what you're good for anyway. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please endeavor to subscribe, like, and comment. And also, do not forget to share the video. And if you enjoyed it, just give it a thumbs up. Let us meet in the next video. Bye-bye.